Why is it that you can rent for more money than you can pay for a mortgage? I'm Brandon from Vegas, and today on Won't You Be My Neighbor, we're going to talk about it. I'm here with my lender, Bill Gaylord. What's going on, Bill? Bill has been helping people qualify for mortgages for how long, Bill?
31 years, coming up on 32.
31 years. So he knows what he's talking about. This man has seen tens of thousands of qualifications and approvals, and we know why you guys can't afford. So, Bill, one of the big things that we hear all the time is, well, I can rent for $3,000, but the max mortgage I can get is $2,000. Oh, that's so stupid. Why would I ever rent? Bill, can you explain to these people why it is that they can rent for $1,000 more than they can pay for a mortgage?
Because the landlord, if the landlord can get it, they're going to get it from you. From a mortgage payment standpoint, qualifications, they don't qualify for that amount.
Yep. You guys, Bill is a nice guy. He's good cop. I'm not good cop. Your landlord doesn't give a shit about you. Your landlord is trying to take as much money from you so that you can't ever leave his property. All right? I'm a realtor who works with both investors and retail buyers, okay? Which means I'm the guy who helps your landlord find the property to rent to you. I'm also the guy that tries to help you leave your landlord, okay? And me and my landlords have a strategy. We price your rental high enough that you can't ever save money. Not enough to buy a house, right? That's our perfect area. So we want to charge you enough money that you can afford the rental, but not enough money that you can ever leave the rental. It's a perfect trap, right?
It is a trap. And they get into it month after month. They keep making the payment. And then they go, gosh, I feel like I'm spending too much on the rent, but they're not saving any money to put down as a down payment. It is a trap. It's a circle.
Yeah. And people tell me all the time, Brandon, you have no morals. I get online every day for an hour a day and teach people how to leave their landlords. But they love renting so badly that I have to teach people how to be better landlords, right? If 80% of Americans are going to want to rent, choose to rent, then the best thing that I can do for those people is teach them how to have better landlords. If you're going to rent, you need a landlord. I might as well teach your landlords how to do it, right? If you love renting so much, the nicest thing that I can do for you is help raise better landlords, right?
Well, and the landlord is an investor, right? So what does an investor do? They try and maximize the return on their investment. So they buy a house and they want to earn as much income on that house, which is an investment, and that's why they're going to charge you what they can.
100%.
They're going to push it every single time.
Yeah. Let me show you guys something. When my landlord is trying to find a new renter, right? We do a background check, we do a credit check, and we want the first and last month's deposit. We don't check your finances. We don't care how you got that money. We don't care if that money is sustainable. We don't care if you're able to pay your $2,500 rent for the next 12 months. You signed a lease. We're getting that money one way or the other. We don't care if it sets you back financially. We don't care if it makes you house poor. My landlord doesn't care. If you chose to sign that contract for $2,500 a month, you've told us that's what you can afford, right? There's no financial check there. When you go to buy a house, Bill, can you please run them through what you're doing when you're checking to see what they qualify for a home?
So we look at kind of the same thing, except that the landlord doesn't look at the income primarily.
Yep.
And they may ask about your job. Do you have a job? But we look at three things: credit, income, and assets.
Yep.
And those are the three things that you need to get a house or get a mortgage.
Yeah.
And so, but on a rental side, they only ask for good credit. Good credit makes a difference. And so we get three things: credit, income, assets.
Yeah. So you're checking their credit, right? Which is what a renter does or a landlord does. They check your credit, right? Funny enough, Bill, you ready for this? I had clients fly in from Montana. They needed a 680 credit score to rent this house. We ended up buying it with a 640 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
You need a higher credit score to rent these houses than you do to buy these houses. That's how ass backwards the world's become.
Yeah, because the investor wants to know that they're their investment is secure.
Yep.
So they're going to go with a higher FICO score. It'll be very rare
Yep.
to get a rental at a very low FICO score.
Yep.
Or you're going to pay a lot more in deposit to get that house.
Yep. The next thing you're doing is you're checking their assets, right? You wanna-
Assets, fancy word for money.
fancy word for money. You want to know how much they have saved, how much they've accumulated, what they have in reserves, right?
Correct.
Ultimately, what you're trying to do is protect the buyer from themselves, right?
Correct.
We got into a housing attack in 2008 because no one was protecting buyers from themselves. I call it the Disneyland theory. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
I know you like my analogies, Bill.
They're very good.
No one forces you to go to Disneyland and pay $200 a ticket. No one forces you to buy a $14 corn dog or a $20 pizza, or no one forces you to buy $50 hats, $40 toys, $8 waters. No one forces you to spend all this money at Disneyland.
Yeah.
But Disneyland knows once they have you there, you're going to spend that money. You have no self-control. Disneyland's not there to protect you. Disneyland's there to milk you for all of your lack of discipline. That's what Disneyland exists for. When you see a Disney adult, you see someone who, right, they're taking advantage of your
They're
lack of
taking
discipline,
advantage, correct.
your lack of adulthood and financial growth. Rental properties are the same thing as Disneyland. Oh, we're not here to check if you can afford this $2,500 house, but don't you want it? Doesn't it look so nice? Isn't this neighborhood so nice? Look at the floors; they're brand new. Even though you don't own it, doesn't it look good?
And it
Don't you
feels
wish
good,
you lived here? Doesn't it make you feel richer than you are to rent this place? Don't you convince yourself that you live here even though you really just rent it? Yeah, come spend that money.
Yes. And keep spending it.
And keep spending it. The reason rental properties are okay with you spending $2,500, whereas a mortgage lender such as Bill will cap you at $2,000, is because Bill's job is to protect you. It's crazy. The housing attack on America was less than 20 years ago. But this new wave of millennial buyers has already forgotten how we got into a housing attack in the first place. So, Bill, can you educate these millennials and Gen Z on why it's so important to have lenders protect buyers from themselves?
Yeah, you just don't want to be financially insecure. If basically we're trying to help you with your budget
Yeah.
and make sure that you qualify based on what the guidelines say. Historically, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac used to say that you could spend 28% of your income on house
Yeah.
debt and 38% on all debt, which includes the house, cars, credit cards, student loans, all that.
Yeah.
Now it's been pushed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I do ratios now up to about 49.5%,
Which is crazy.
which is a
crazy.
lot. For somebody that has good credit, we'll go up to about 49.5%.
Yeah.
And to me, honestly, that can be too high. Sometimes people can accept it and they have a lifestyle that they can manage that. Some have other income that we cannot use. So they know that they have more income, or they have a renter that may be renting a room that will provide them additional. But generally, it's trying to help them protect from themselves that they will be able to make that payment on time and afford it.
Yeah. We've created a world where people are so normalized to going check to check that they don't realize that they're overspending on rent, right? Because at the end of the month, they have enough money to pay for their gas. They have enough money to eat out every night, grab a couple beers with the boys, buy a few disposable income things, pay their rent, and then they wait for the next check so they can do it all over again. We've normalized not having any assets, any savings. So when you tell people, hey, you're spending too much on rent. No, I'm not. It's $1,000 cheaper than my mortgage. Yeah, and you're still overpaying by about $500, right? Like, yeah, you can't afford a $3,000 mortgage, but you also can't afford $2,200 in rent. You're probably closer to the $1,600 to $1,700 range. How do I know? You don't have any savings.
Correct.
If you were spending $500 less on rent, that's $500 you could go on savings, right?
That's $6,000 a year.
$6,000 a year. What did I tell you guys at the beginning of the episode? My landlords and I design your rent to ensure you don't have savings. As long as we know you're not saving money, we know you're never leaving our rental property. That's why we bump your rental up $50, $60, $70 a year. It's just in case you got a raise at work, we want that money too. And what's crazy is no matter how high we bump these rents, people renew. I'm shocked. One of my landlords raised the rent by $150, and I'm like, brother, they're going to back out of the lease. Nope, they signed a 2-year lease. Couldn't wait to do it. They loved the property, raved about it. I said, oh my, if you raise somebody's mortgage $150, that's like a $20,000 better house.
Well, and they're also passing along the extra costs.
Oh, yeah.
With real estate taxes that go up.
Oh, yeah.
Hazard insurance that goes up. So they are passing it along to you.
It's crazy. It's crazy how many people I talk to, right? Because we teach the real estate class every day. People DM me probably, I'd say 30, 40 times a week. People DM me, right? And they're always angry. They're always so angry at me. Brandon, well, at least I don't have to pay taxes. At least I don't have to pay the HOA.
Oh, they're paying taxes.
The reason you guys don't think that you're paying the taxes and HOA, are you ready for this? We never give you an itemized bill of your rent. Notice how your rent doesn't, when you go to a restaurant, you have an itemized bill of what you spent it on. You ordered the meatballs, you ordered the steak, you ordered the pasta. Here's what your itemized bill is. That way, if something's incorrect, you can go, oh, that's incorrect. You're charging me too much. When you pay your rent, it ain't no itemized bill. You pay $2,200, direct deposit from your account. There's no itemized receipt of what you're paying for. Because if they did get an itemized receipt, they would see that the mortgage on their $2,200 rental was $1,200. Then they paid $60 for HOA. Then they paid $60 for a home warranty. Then they paid for taxes. Then they paid for insurance. And then the rest of it went right into that landlord's pocket.
Yep.
If rent bills were itemized, we would have millions of less renters. Sorry, fewer. We'd have millions of, no, it's less. We'd have millions of less renters, right? But because they never get an itemized bill, they think they're ripping people off.
And it is hard because, like you say, you spend what you think you can spend.
Yes.
And you kind of max out on a monthly basis.
Yes.
And then you can't, it's hard to get out of that circle loop. So you almost have to like reduce what you're spending to save to get into a house.
100%. So Bill, let's give the people a good example.
Okay.
Right? I know you have it on the board right behind you, right? You have Bob the buyer. Bob the buyer makes $4,000. Walk us through Bob the buyer's income, what he could possibly get pre-approved for to buy a house, and then I will tell you what my landlord would pre-approve Bob for rent.
Okay, so in this scenario, I had Bob the buyer at $4,000. This is actually a pretty similar scenario to what I had just the other day.
Okay.
Bob and Beth, $4,000 each. They made decent income, almost $100,000. Debt to income ratio, generally we could go to 45%, right? If they have decent credit. A lot of times they have cars, right? So one had a car of $550, and I had another one that had a car payment of $750. Okay, so those two cars, they got to have a car. But let's knock this down to $400.
Okay.
Okay, so $400 and $550. That's not unusual. This here, I'm going to take out, take that out, take that out. But let's just say generally they have a $5,000 credit card, right? Minimum payment on that, probably roughly $100. And maybe Beth has one too. So let's call that $4,500 and let's call this $75. Okay. So we got that. So then what we do, we have 45% of their income equals $3,600 that they could spend on all debt.
Okay.
House, cars, credit cards, student loans, everything, right?
Yeah.
Then we take out and deduct what they are spending each month right now. So they're spending about $1,125, 2 cars and 2 credit cards.
Yep.
That leaves us with $2,475.
$2,475. And how much does Bob make a month?
Bob makes $4,000.
So Bob makes about, let's give
Bob and Beth combined make $8,000.
Okay, so Bob and Beth combined make nearly $100,000.
Correct.
Right? But because of the way they spend their money, and because of what they're paying, and this is before we calculate rent, right? Because of how they're spending their money, they only have about what, $2,400 that they can spend.
Just about, not quite 2,500. And this is where sometimes we look at it and go, well, this car is going to be paid off in, let's say they owe $3,000. This is going to be paid off in 10 months.
Yep.
We delete that because we don't have to count it. So it increases their ability to do it. But if that is not paid off, then that's, it's about $2,500 a month.
If Bob and his wife showed up to my landlord's rental, we would let them rent for $3,500 a month. Oh, you both make $4,000 a month? Yeah. Please, here's a $3,500 rental. Take it. You just showed me that their max monthly debt is $3,600. $3,500 of that would go to their rent.
Yeah.
That's before. You know what? I made a list because every time we sit here and talk about this stuff, I forget about the list, right? We're going to do an entire episode on this, but people tend to forget about their bills. So I'm just going to run through a quick thing.
Okay.
So we would let Bob and his wife spend $3,500 in rent, okay? That's before eating out and groceries.
Yep.
That's before Starbucks. That's before their cell phone bill, their car payment, their car insurance, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, and whatever other television services and apps they pay. Their dogs, because everybody wants to have a dog, even though you're renting. Their entertainment budget, because you still got to go out, show the girl a good time, have a good time, travel, do vacations, do a little staycation. If they have student loans, if she gets her lashes done, if she gets her hair done, if they do any shopping at Target, if they buy anything on Amazon, the gas for the car, their nails, if she buys any clothes off Temu, Shein, whatever, how much she's paying for makeup, how much they're paying for prescription pills.
It's like there's nothing left.
They're going to pay
nothing
rent.
left.
They're going to pay rent before they pay any of these things.
Yeah.
But no. They're not going to stop paying these things.
No.
They're not going to stop paying these things.
What's going to end up happening is this credit card's going to go to 10,000.
Yep.
And this one will go to 9,000.
Yep.
And then, and everything else goes up.
They
start
how
living, and then this goes up to 200, and this one goes to 150. So it's like now they can't do anything.
But it doesn't matter. They're trapped in the lease.
They're trapped in the lease.
They're trapped in the lease. It doesn't matter what changes on that page. It doesn't matter what they do. They're trapped in the lease. They have to pay that. And they're not going to cut back on these things. These are part of their routine, part of their habits, right? Which is why the first thing we teach people is how to break bad habits. But this is why when we tell you guys you're spending more on your rent than you realize, your landlord is doing more to keep you trapped in credit card debt than you ever realize. You think it's the credit card companies. No, it's your landlord. It's your landlord. Your landlord knows you have these bad habits. He knows that's why you've been renting for 5 to 10 years. He knows you're financially irresponsible. He knows that. That's why he can't wait to rent you a $2,500 house. That's why he can't wait to give you a $2,000 luxury apartment. He knows you're not going to stop the lashes, hair, Target, Amazon, gas, student loans, entertainment, television, car. He knows you're not going to stop paying those things. He knows it. And he knows you're going to keep using your credit cards, putting yourself further into debt. The further you go into debt, the lower you have a chance to buy a house. Bill, tell him, debt to income, huge part of this whole home buying process, right?
Huge part of the.
So if you're raising your credit card debt, messing up your credit, you're putting yourself further away from ever owning a home. The further you put yourself from owning a home, the more you have to rent. Congratulations. Me and my landlord have now trapped you in our rental for the rest of your life. I just gave you guys the step-by-step scheme of how landlords trap you forever in their rentals.
So how do they get out of it?
I wasn't done hurting their feelings, but I wasn't done. But no, we can get to the good stuff. We can get to the good stuff. You must sacrifice your lifestyle. I feel like we say this once per episode. If you are done renting, I have the solution for you, but you're not going to like it. We did a class yesterday specifically catering towards women, so I'll run a little bit of that one back here. I told women, you have 2 options. 2. And guys, option B is not available to you. So for guys, you have 1 option. Ladies, you have 2 options. Option A, sacrifice everything about your current lifestyle, all of it. The fun, the entertainment, the travel, rent a worse apartment, significantly worse. Don't put yourself in danger, but you need to chop that bill by several hundreds of dollars.
Lashes, nails.
All of it. You need to
Do
call
your own nails.
You need
Is
to
that what
call a lender like Bill. Have him tell you, this is what we would approve you for a house. You're approved for about $1,800 a month. Okay, that's what your apartment needs to cost. In fact, you probably want to be a little bit cheaper than that. Some of you aren't going to like that, but that's the truth. Okay? Or there's option B. Find a rich dude like Bill. Guys, there's no option B for you. Okay? You don't have option B.
There's some rich women out there.
Find a rich guy like Bill.
Guys, you don't have option B. Okay? The sugar mama thing only works if you're super handsome. Okay? No rich lady is going to take care of an ugly bum like me, right? Like, no rich lady is going to be like, oh, yeah, Brandon, look at that weird shaped head and that mustache. I can't wait to pay all your bills and get you out of debt. It's not going down for me, okay? So, guys, you only have one option. Ladies, option B. But, I'm sorry, Bill.
No, I was going to say the other thing is if you get a partner, which is what you talked about, the extra income can make a big, big difference.
100%.
Big difference.
100%. But these people want to stay single. They don't want to be in relationships. They want to stay single into their 30s. Why do they want to stay single? So they can focus on their career that doesn't pay them enough to buy a house.
Or they
Bill.
could find a good friend that they like and buy together. That happens too sometimes.
Bill, these people don't trust each other.
I know. They don't trust each other. Well, they don't. You're right.
Bill, these people are staying single into their 30s to focus on their career. Their careers that don't pay them enough money to buy a house that they could have gotten if they just found a partner in their 20s. They don't see the trap, Bill. No matter how many of these classes we do, no matter how much good advice we give them, they don't see the trap. So the best that you and I can do for them, the single best thing we can do for them is tell them, your single ass needs to sacrifice everything in your life. Cut your apartment back to as cheap as possible without putting yourself in danger. Cut your cell phone plan. Lower any possible. You can't change your car payment. You can't change your car insurance. Stop buying Starbucks. Stop eating out. Your dog doesn't need that many treats and toys. Cut your entertainment budget back to zero, right? Cut out the lashes. The cut and colors, you can cut those back. Target, you can cut that back. Amazon, you can cut that back. Gas, can't really cut that back. You need to drive to work, right? Nails, cut that back. New clothes, cut that back. Makeup, you may not need as much as you thought you did, right? There's places that they can sacrifice because their current lifestyle is that of a renter.
Who holds them accountable?
Now it's a bigger problem because they're single.
Because that's the biggest problem is you talk about habits, you talk about you have to create new habits, better habits, and all that. What would be a good way to create a better habit? How do you find, what do you think?
If they had the discipline to hold themselves accountable, they wouldn't be in the position that they are. That's the circle of doom that we're living in. It's funny because you're in a generation where people often got married in a pretty normal rate. You were probably the last generation where people got married and partnered up in the normal way, where they said, hey, I'm going to start my life here. That way, by the time I'm 30, 31, 32, I'm not trying to figure this stuff out.
Right.
I'm already going to at least have the relationship part figured out. Mm-hmm. Now I can focus on my career. These people are in their 30s and 40s still trying to figure out the basics of relationships, which means they have no one to keep them accountable. If I woke up every day and decided to eat Cheetos on my couch and not go to work, my wife would say something. Hey, we have bills to pay. The account isn't growing the way it should. Like, I have people to hold me accountable. A lot of these people don't. They're single as shit. Their friends aren't going to hold them accountable. Their friends are the same degenerates that they are. So who's going to hold them accountable? That's the question. They have to hold themselves accountable,
Right.
right? That's why you guys should continue watching our show, because I'm going to continue to shit talk you.
And from the screen, you're going to hold them accountable.
I will.
Right? You're going
I
to help
will.
them, hold them accountable. How much money did you save?
Yeah.
How much money did you spend? Did you spend more than you made?
Yeah.
You know, and
Someone on our TikTok live said there's nothing wrong with being single other than being broke. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with being single. The average married couple produces over $200,000 of income in America. The average single woman makes $56,000 a year. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being single except for being broke. Sorry. You guys watch too much TikTok. You watch too much Instagram. You see 21-year-old kids in Miami. You see these girl bosses, and you think that that's the standard. It is not. There's nothing wrong with being single except for not owning homes. There's nothing wrong with being single other than being broke. There's nothing wrong with being single other than dying a renter. Other than those things, yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with it. Good luck to you. I hope you're happy. You know? If there's nothing wrong with being single, don't cry so much on the internet all the time. Uh-oh. Now we're going to get in trouble. Can I call into the show today? Yeah, jump on the YouTube live and ask us any questions you guys have. The YouTube channel's up and running. We await your guys' questions. We love answering them live. Bill.
yes,
We got a new segment to debut. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. What are we doing?
It's called Real Estate Myth Busters.
Okay.
We are going to bust the myth that renting is cheaper than buying a home.
Okay. Let's do it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Bill? Okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So, to save everybody time, and you know, can we put a link for this? Like if I send you guys a document, can we put that document in the YouTube description? Yes. Okay, guys, in the YouTube description, I'm going to put the document where I do the math for you guys and show you step by step why buying a home is better money and actually makes more money and saves more money than renting. So if you're listening to the podcast or you're rewatching this on YouTube, head to the description, click on that link, and we'll show you guys the math personally. So here we go, Bill.
Okay. I'm excited to see this.
Would you like to know what the average 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in Las Vegas rents for? 3-bedroom.
Too bad. I'm going to say 2,800, 3,000.
3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Las Vegas
Okay.
currently rents for between $2,100 and $2,300.
Oh.
Now, there's some places like Summerlin that throw it off. There's some places like the East Side that throw it off.
Yeah.
So when we take an average or a median, it brings us to about $2,100 to $2,300. So let's just go $2,200 to cut it down the middle. $2,200 for rent.
Okay.
Okay. The average 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Las Vegas currently goes for about $400,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So $2,200 to rent, $400,000 to buy. Now, to save all of you guys the time, I've already done the math on what it would cost for your mortgage at the current rate, right? Now, the way we do this is we go to simplemortgagecalculator.org. Bill could do it fancier, but Bill needs to put a bunch of your information in there. We're going to do it the real easy way. The current FHA interest rate is what, Bill?
Around 6.25.
The current FHA is 6.25, and conventional is what? 6?
6.75. Right?
6.75. Okay. So if you put down 3.5% at 6.2 interest with the current $400,000 housing price, your mortgage comes out to $2,900. $2,900 is what we're looking at. Okay. So your mortgage is $2,900. So what we're looking at is a $2,200 for rent, $2,900 for a mortgage. And I know what some of you are thinking. Bill, what are they thinking?
You're spot on that 2,900.
I'm pretty good at this, right?
Look at this, right?
I'm pretty good at this, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, good.
The average renter says, I'm saving $700 a month. That means $8,400 a year. Bill, They're saving $8,400 a year. How are they possibly losing? How could they possibly be losing?
I don't know. It makes perfect sense.
It's crazy,
to me.
right?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
$8,400 a year. How could they possibly be losing? Bill, would you like to know what the average equity for houses in Las Vegas was last year during the highest interest rates in a decade? Would you like to know?
Yes, please tell me.
The average equity for Las Vegas homes during the highest interest rate in a decade was 6.5%.
Appreciation.
6.5%.
It went up in value.
6.5%.
Okay.
Bill, 6.5% of $400,000.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It's around $26,800, Bill. Well, no. So we do
That's right.
400,000 times 6, which is 24,000,
Yep.
and then 400,000 times 0.5. So we're looking at about $26,000.
Yep. 26,000.
So the average equity of Las Vegas homes was $26,000. Now people say, Brandon, what about repairs? You got to factor in maintenance. My home warranty is $60 a month. So we'll subtract another, what, $700? Okay. So I'm at $25,300. I made $25,300 by buying a $400,000 house. You saved $8,400 by renting it. I have just defeated you by $17,000. And here's the best part, Bill. Every year, my equity gets higher, and every year your rent goes up.
Yeah, but Brandon, they're going to crash.
Oh, they're
Values are going to crash. I
They're
keep
gonna
hearing that. Values are going to go down. Why would they not go down?
Bill,
I'm going to buy when they go down.
Bill, out of the last 82 years, how often has real estate not returned its value?
It's 80, what is it? It's only been 7 years out of that 82 years
In the past 82
that it went
years,
down, and it really didn't go down much except for 2 years.
we had a housing crisis and we had a Great Depression,
Yes.
right? Bill, 7 and 82 means that housing has a better record than the Golden State Warriors.
I love that. Steve Kerr.
They're not good now, though.
They're not good. No, they got to get better. They got to get something else going.
75 and 7 is a better record than the Golden State Warriors, and you have people worrying about if they're going to lose money.
And then, Brandon, what happens? So the new value after a year goes from 400 to about 426,000.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next year, if it goes up another 5%, 3%,
they gain
5% on that number.
So
So
every year,
it
the person who buys,
compounds.
yes, it's compound. Look, Bill,
I know.
you're so smart.
I
Every year, the person who buys the house increases their equity. It goes from 26,000 in equity to 27,500 in equity to 30,000 in equity. And every year, that renter pays more in rent because they increase your rent by 3%. So every year, the renter, that 8,400 goes to 8,000. Then it goes to 7,300. And eventually, after 4 to 5 years, your mortgage is exactly what that renter is paying in rent. And now you own the place and they're renting it.
Hey, and the other thing to remember too, of that $2,900 of that mortgage payment,
Yep.
some of that is going to pay down the mortgage.
Yep.
So it's essentially forced savings.
Yep.
So they are basically saving their money by paying down that mortgage and building more equity.
100%.
So
Myth busted. I think it's pretty safe to say the idea that renting saves more money than home buying is absolutely absurd. It's a myth by people who don't know the basic math of compounding interest and equity. But that's the problem. People don't know these things.
but it's scary because people look at the payment and they go, well, I can afford $2,200, but I can't afford $2,900. But they can.
People are short-term thinkers. That's a huge part of
Many
the problem.
people
that we're facing
can, and they
right now.
just don't.
100%.
They don't cut things out.
But the good news for these people, Bill, is we're going to keep teaching them. We'll do classes on compound interest and equity. Matter of fact, the next class we do can just be on equity, what it means, how you gain it, what you can do with it, right? Bill will teach you all the things that you guys can do with equity. And we can show you guys step by step why they should have taught you this in high school, how easy it is to teach this, especially with a smart guy like Bill sitting next to me, how easy it is to walk you guys through these things. What we need you guys to do is hit that subscribe button, right? We have a question?
We have one question. So Jacob asks, 3 years in union, about 6 months ago I had a 5-month gap. Would I still get approved?
About how long was,
He said the gap was for about 5 months, but he has overall 3 years in the union.
has he been back to work for 5 months?
It sounds like it because it's 6 months ago I had a 5-month gap.
Okay.
So like he just
Should
came
be
back.
fine.
Yep. He
Okay.
went right back to the same profession. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, the reason we need you in the same profession is because it gives us an estimate of what you're expected to make. Lenders have to protect you from yourself. So by showing a consistent income going back to the same job, it's easy for a lender to go, look, you made $50 an hour before, you took a 5-month break, you're back to making $50 an hour. Great. We know what to expect from you.
So covering that gap, it's typically whatever the gap period was, we'd like to see them at work for the same amount of time.
Yep.
So if it's a
Okay.
5-month gap, working for 5 months. If it's a 3-month gap, back working for 3 months.
Did we get any other good questions? Nope.
Nope, just people saying that somebody said I have a 34-year-old beautiful daughter who needs a husband.
Hey, can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
So homeowner for you,
Yeah.
have you made any changes to your lifestyle?
Oh, yeah. If you guys go to my social media pages, I don't eat out as often as I used to. In fact, people keep complaining that I don't show food anymore, but it's like, yo, I got a mortgage to pay, bro. I can't be out here spending $400 on Herbs and Rye every week to show you guys funny ass videos. Like, I have to for real take this stuff seriously. You know what I mean? It's just changed. You have to make sacrifices.
Sacrifices.
You just make sacrifices. Now, I make good money. I'm not going to lie. I have multiple streams of income, but I still have to cut my lifestyle out. I want to take trips. I like seeing new countries. I like doing things. And if I'm going to do all that and pay a mortgage and build a new business and start a new website and give money to charity, I have to find money somewhere. You have to cut it out, right? Guys, for us to continue teaching you, we don't need you to pay anything. Me and Bill are successful in our own careers. We don't need your patronage. We don't need anything like that. But we do need you guys to subscribe, because if we're going to teach you, it's not something like one lesson isn't going to change your life, right? We need you guys to watch on a weekly basis so we can first teach you about equity, how to use your equity, how to profit from your equity, right? It's a step-by-step process. This is a legitimate classroom that we're putting on for you guys here. So if you are not subscribed, hit that subscription button. It's right below, right? If you have a comment, if you have a question, leave it for us. We try to answer all questions and comments in our off time. We'll keep posting interesting little shorts for you guys, but the best way for us to educate you guys is for you guys to join into the podcast, listen through it, ask us your questions, rewatch old episodes so we can help you guys learn on anything, all right?
1 second. We had someone that wanted to call in. What was that?
Oh, Vegas Tupac? Yeah, he couldn't call in today.
Okay.
He couldn't call in today. So, Bill, let them know where they want to reach you if they want to ask you questions directly on lending, financing, HELOCs, refinance.
Best place to go that has all my contact information, billgaylord.com, or you can call me directly if you can see behind his big head, 858-776-6830. And happy to jump on, get a game plan together, understand where you are right now and what you need to do to get into the home that you want to get into. And it's free, doesn't cost anything, Brandon.
It's
I'm
zero.
happy to walk through it with you so you know where you are right now to get a game plan together.
100%. Best piece of advice I can give you if you're currently renting and you want to know that you're renting beyond your means, call Bill. He'll tell you what he would pre-approve you for right now. If that number is lower than what you're currently renting for, you need to change your rental immediately because you're renting beyond your means. Bill will do that for you guys for absolutely free, zip, zilch, zero. I advise you all take advantage of that, okay? Head to billgaylord.com. I'm Brandon from Vegas. You can reach me quite literally anywhere on the internet. As the kids say, Google me. I don't know if the kids say that anymore.
I say that.
Do you say that? Okay, so
The boomer.
maybe kids don't say that anymore.
Boomer
Okay.
Bill says that.
But you can type in Brandon from Vegas, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, text me directly, call me directly. I'm an open book. I'm glad to help you guys. And like we said, leave a comment below if there's anything we didn't explain thoroughly, and we'll catch up with you guys, all right? Thank you guys for your time, and as always, come and be my neighbor. Peace.